feel the static in the air. Next gen rising, we don't care about the fear clinging there. Step in line, hear the beat drop. Body, mind, so we don't stop. Don't stop. Train it up, train it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly. March to the future, neon glow. Through the fire we will grow. Every move a deadly flow. Next gen rising, let it show. Eyes ahead, the rhythm calls. Stand up tall, we break the walls. Train it up, train it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Next Gen Training here on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett with my partner, as always, the coach, Kurt Ferg, in the building tonight. Good to have you guys with us on this Thursday, on this first Thursday in October of 2025, where we try to certainly give you pertinent information and growth in all areas of your life, your physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And, certainly we're about to go into a suite of shows dealing with career and career development. And, so again, this is taken from us. We're not, we don't come from staffing agencies or whatnot, but, just certainly sharing a lot of our experiences as to how we've been able to secure work and keep, remain relevant, in the field. I know Coach is retired right now, so he's on another side of life right now, but certainly, certainly appreciate his wisdom and insights, and he's going to be certainly guiding a lot of the discussion tonight. But Coach, how are you doing tonight, sir? And how you doing with your pies?
I'm okay, Brother Benny, man. Yeah, thanks for asking, man. My pies are pretty, I guess if I was using emotion, exciting again, interested to see how I can connect to even younger group, especially all female. So I'm interested in see how that goes in the upcoming weeks. Physically, I'm going through a lot of tests. The VA takes good care of me, so they say I may have some, some carpal
Yeah,
tunnel in my right hand,
yeah,
down my right arm. So I'm getting that checked out. I also go to the doctor, where the optometrist to get my eyes checked. So I probably have a new pair of shades. I always get a new pair of glasses, So every year, so I have to go there tomorrow morning. Again, intellectually, man, I don't know. I'm thinking about the future now. Thinking about how I can start. I guess cutting back on some things that I really don't need. And just sort of streamlining a lot of things going forward because me and my wife, both are in our 50s and we don't have a lot of overhead, outside of mortgage, car, stuff like that. So that's a good thing. But just starting to streamline that, thinking about our final resting well, our final destination as far as our home. We're trying to contemplate where we want to be,
I
and
thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about funeral plots, but okay, you
oh
weren't.
no, no, not, that's what I said. Not our resting place. It's just our where we want to be as far as when she retires, because she wants to retire in 7 years. So
Seven.
when
Okay.
she retires, then we'll look. We're looking now.
Mhm.
Uh, we do have our eyes and have all of our resources, some resources sort of allocated for the Olympics out in LA. So
Ah,
we just
nice.
waiting on tickets to go. We waiting on the tickets to go on sale. So, and we agreed on the events that we want to see.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. And other than that, man, I'm just thinking about getting into coaching and stuff. I'm excited about that because I have to always think outside of myself and how I'm going to convey the messages to get the best result for them. I love building confidence uh, in people who just are just hungry for the knowledge. So I'm just excited about that, though, for real, man. So
I heard that. I heard that. Awesome, man. That's what's interesting because I am scheduled for my annual physical tomorrow. Got my
oh,
blood,
okay.
got my blood work in early in the week. I still didn't see the results. Usually now is cool because you can see all your stuff ahead of time. They post your
Mm-hmm.
results online. So I'm still hope. I hope that she gets the
Results.
numbers comes in by tomorrow morning so we can have a more thorough breakdown. Otherwise, she's going to call me later and say, "Hey, we saw a problem, whatever." But I'd rather just discuss it while I'm in the office. But other than that, feeling pretty good. I had my leg workout today, so I'm starting to feel it. Usually, it's like you start to run down. It's like my gas tank just starts getting low towards the end of the day, and
Mm-hmm.
if I have any soreness, that'll kick in tomorrow. And so you're just trying to weigh that out. Also, while I was in the base, I was just redoing my gym. I'm always tinkering with it, so I'm always
Mm-hmm.
looking at just new ways I can make equipment better to allow for new types of exercise, safer types
Mm-hmm.
of exercise. I know I kind of beat myself up this year. I really dedicated myself to squatting, barbell squats, and
Okay.
so I'm trying to maybe limit some of the weight and just come up with different alternatives. I still like to squat, but certainly um, it definitely weighs on you after a while, and
Mm-hmm.
looking to use. And it's weird too because I'm always looking to create like kind of home make stuff. Like I can go on and find equipment for like $200-300 I can buy, which isn't a lot to spend, but just using some pulleys and some cables or whatnot, just stuff I can get from home,
Mm-hmm.
I can do it for a fraction of the cost. And so I'm already looking at things. In fact, I tried to get out there to this afternoon, but just doing other things around the house and whatnot. But yeah, physically it's pretty good. But I'll let the doctors decide
Yeah.
and say what's really going on, because I would say this is probably the first year where I can honestly say I wouldn't say old, but I start to notice my age a little bit. So I got a little something
Yeah.
going on with my
Shift. Yeah.
fingers, especially you do a lot of texting and like stuff like this. You start getting tight and cramped up in the thumbs and
Cramps. Yeah.
whatnot. It's like, oh, that's not normal, and just certain things that up to this point, like I never felt like I was um, going backwards a little bit, but I think this is probably the first year where I felt my age a little bit, even though I'm still very high functional. But compared to previous years, and I know I can't continue in this way forever. I'm going to get old at some point, where a lot of these things are going to be possible. So again, I can't stop aging. I'm just trying to slow it down and
Mm-hmm.
and stay as fit as I can at my for my age for as long as I can. So, but overall, we'll see what it's looking like tomorrow. But praying that everything is good. Intellectual, just always learning, always in the arena and whatnot. Emotional, very good. Again, saw my daughter last week in Grenada, and beautiful campus that she's on, and helping her to move back and forth because she had to move basically 3 times since she's been there. So when we were down there, it was fortunate for us that she had to move into another dorm. So we're like literally wheeling her luggage and everything over, and the building that she's in is 3 flights of stairs. And so I had to carry these 50-pound plus suitcases up 3 flights of stairs. And I'm doing them both in one arm, both arms. So it's like well over 100 plus pounds that I'm carrying up and down. and so you're definitely grateful for the fitness that you have. But certainly down there it's another level because the campus is very hilly, and it's very hot and humid down there as well. So again, if you're not acclimated to that, it can kind of wear you down a bit. So but other than that, she's doing well. Had a great white coat ceremony there, and very just happy. Certainly after going there, I'm definitely glad that she's in this place. Yes, it's far from home, but it just made me more confident that she's in a good place there. And spiritually, and everything aligns up. Like I said, if I may worry about something spiritually, it all tends to work out at the end, and it's just like yeah, like God knew He was doing before I did. So all things are good on that front, and so yeah, man. So I'm just excited about where things are, living in the present, and just enjoying the moments, and just taking it all in. So, but outside that, so yeah, so we're gonna go into again a series of shows that are going to be dealing. So we've been across the board in terms of exercise, physical exercise, and communication, all kinds of different things we've done. We wanted to delve a little bit into career, and or at least job, because certainly I think there's a difference between a job and career, but I think everything starts with a job. And so making sure that you get in the arena. All right. So again, for a lot of young people, because you hear sometimes, especially when you talk about labor statistics and whatnot, young people can't find jobs and whatnot. And I think shout out to Mariana Constantine in the chat tonight. Appreciate you being here. But there are opportunities out there, and coach, certainly he's going to guide us through a process that probably a lot of folks don't know about in terms of how you go about getting jobs. And I'm talking, maybe something a little bit better than, and again, no shade to any job. One thing someone taught me a long time ago, all work is honorable work. So it doesn't matter if you start in McDonald's. My first job was first of all, it was at my high school. I got a summer job where we would have to clean the school, clean the grounds, paint, take the gum off of the underside of desks, and just clean the school and prepare it for the next year. And then I also had a job at McDonald's, so I flipped burgers for 4 years. And that was back in the day when you had the paper hats on and uniforms and all that kind of stuff. So but someone taught me a long time ago that all work is honorable, and it makes you just appreciative when you do go into bigger and better jobs and things down the line. You remember where you started and the lessons that you might have learned around the way. It's interesting. When I was at the McDonald's job, the way I was taught to mop a floor, I still employ today. I was outside kind of doing something. Guy came up saying, "You ain't doing it right. So you got to get some muscle into it, that back and forth motion, work the arms and whatnot." And I still mop that same way to this day. I don't just push the mop or the whatever device I'm using. I got to put a little muscle, and that's to this day. That's why I'm the only one who mops the floors of my house, because the women are not going to do it as effective as me or whatever, and I'm just going to yell at them if they if they're not if they're not going to do it right. But all work is valuable, and so so we're not here to put down any jobs or whatnot, but we're here to kind of share some information that can help, certainly for someone just starting out, or maybe you're in between jobs. Now we talked about this on the I think on the Tuesday show, that a lot of times, especially for men, we can get in our pride a little bit when it comes to work. Let's say if you were in let's say a somewhat of a prestigious position, or respectable, in your view, a respectable position, because like I said, I think all work is honorable and is worthy of respect. I don't care if you're the janitor in the building. I say hi to everybody. If you're the janitor, if you're the security guard, if you clean the bathrooms, I don't care who you are. You're worthy of respect. So, um, but some guys, our pride gets hurt a lot of times when we think that a job is beneath us. And I see a lot of guys, you might have lost work either during the pandemic or whatever, and a lot of guys who could be working wouldn't, because they were like, unless that job comes, I'm not working anywhere else. I'm not settling for work. And you still have to understand, especially if you got responsibilities, you got bills that need to be paid, family to be taken care of or whatnot. Look, sometimes you got to dig ditches if you want, if until that opportunity comes up. But for a lot of guys, they won't unless it's all the stars align to get the perfect job. They just think that I'm not going to work or I'm not going to settle for that. And I've seen guys hurt by that, hurt not only in their relationships but also just in their long term because it's been a couple years and they're like they still don't have a job yet. And like, how long are you going to rely on unemployment benefits before those guys run out? Because there is a time limit on those. So I'm saying just get in where you fit in, develop a habit of work, and certainly for young people, develop a habit early. Again, as soon as I was able to work, I got a job. And it's interesting that that wasn't lost on my daughters because we told them that when they turn 16 years old, you guys better find work because what we pay for now, we're going to stop paying for. We pay for your necessities, but if you want them Air Force Ones, if you want them, them nice shoes or whatever, you're gonna have to work and earn those. So I think for me, the best thing that I think I've done as a parent was to insist that my daughters got jobs and develop a work ethic early on that's still with them today. And so I really just appreciate that. But I know I'm long stroking a little bit, but Coach, your thoughts on that, and let me know. Like I said, I have the website that you were referring to. I have that sort of queued up, so I can bring that up whenever you want to. But if you have any comments on, just what I was just saying, or we can just get right into the work.
No, I agree with you, man. It's even looking back as my own young self working. It's funny because during those summers, I applied for summer jobs from the time I was able to. I think the age was 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't get none of those jobs. I don't know why. My other siblings got them. My older siblings and my younger siblings got them. I didn't get them. Again, that's what prompted me into learning how to cut hair. And if I would have had the sort of the same resources and information today, back then, I would have been an entrepreneur, which I was. I was cutting hair, making about $30 a week, charging $3 to $5 a head. I cut hair when I wanted to, it wasn't like I rolled up on everybody offering to cut hair. And people would make appointments almost, when I see guys out. And what got me into it, again, I just got me a pair of clippers, started cutting my own hair. I was able to do a good lineup, and I had my father and brother to sort of experiment. So that was one of my first jobs without even applying. But then my first official job, I cleaned 3 toilets at the state fair.
Mm.
I cleaned those toilets so well, the supervisor had gotten word from someone that the bathrooms were clean. And she told me at that time when if I needed a job when I come home from college, because she knew I was going to college,
Mm-hmm.
to come back to her. And I came back that next summer and I worked at the fairgrounds. My hours were from 7:30 to 3:30. The pay was $3.35 an hour, 5 days a week, no weekends. I did do a couple of special events. One of my specials was a young Whitney Houston.
Oh wow.
And I was able to watch her for about 40 minutes or so. And, I forget what the other event was because they always had horse shows and things like that. But yeah, that was one of my first jobs. And then the next year, I just took that experience. I don't even remember a resume, but I did know how to fill out an application. And my second job was building in-ground swimming pools in the
Mm.
heart of the summer. That was one of the hardest jobs I've ever done because we had to wheelbarrow
Oh yeah.
concrete
Oh yeah.
maybe 10 feet to 100 feet,
Yep.
depending on the yard. We had to dig everything out by hand, the trenches and things like that. And some people wanted their pool maybe 30 yards away from the home. So you had
Right.
to actually manual labor it. And we used to have to spend days out there. But by me being young, of course, I'm looking at like, oh my God, this is going to be a long day. The guys that I work with really put me in a mindset to work hard. And it just stuck with me. Like you said, a lot of things that I learned from those, I guess, those boots on the ground jobs where you have to actually do a lot of physical work. A lot of that stuck with me. A lot of that stuck with me, man. Even from my father and I shut up with this, getting the lawnmower and telling me to cut the grass. He started it up a few times and said, push. That's how I learned. It wasn't no demonstration for him to get out there and do it. No, it's your time. I never forget. 14 was a big time for me. I got a weight bench, got some clippers, was cutting the grass. Probably before 14 cutting grass, but just that hard work, man. It started at home, and I just took it with me. Also, learning how to mop too. I learned in the military that you have to put a little bit more
Yeah, that's right.
push down, and once you get it to the other side, you would just turn it over and bring it back. Do it 4 or 5 times because sometimes every basic training soldier has a responsibility at some point having to mop down hallways, mop out your room quarters, clean the showers, and you had to use elbow strength from top to
Exactly.
bottom.
Yeah.
And so once you learn those things, I've always took it very prideful to work a job,
Yeah.
especially when I was younger, doing manual labor. I didn't shun against that type of work.
Right, exactly. And you talk about just the clean the bathrooms and whatnot. Now, I still, in fact, I have to scrub my shower tonight. When we get off the show, and because my wife, she did a lot of the bathroom, but she's had some shoulder issues, so she can't necessarily get
Yeah,
down and
get that
scrub like
shoulder.
that. But I got like these toothbrush sort of things that I still. So again, you get on your knees. You dip the brush in a little bleach solution or whatever, and you got to scrub between those tiles, man. I
Those
mean,
times,
so
yeah.
I still got that. I know my mom, she was big like that. She would, clean behind the stove and whatnot. I mean, so again, I've never been, even as a man, I've never been ashamed not to get on my knees. And if I got to scrub the floor or whatever, I still, again, employ a lot of those same things that I kind of came up with, so I'm grateful for those. And it's like the hard part is getting the younger generation to kind of buy into
Oh,
that.
man,
But it's weird how they do it for money though. So again, my daughters, they all work for fast food establishments as well, and I just go in sometimes to pick them up when they used to do closing shift. And I see them doing stuff there, and I'm like, when are we going to see some of this
yeah.
at
You
home?
can do it at home.
So it's never lost on them, as well. But certainly, but again, work ethic, and again, I mean, certainly, um, one of the takeaways is even though you can have an opportunity, but your work ethic, that's what you take with you everywhere. You know what I mean? If you're going to be like, well,
Sure.
I'll work if you pay me enough, you got to have that mindset ahead of time. That's something that just doesn't just turn on. So again, get that for a young person, get that early and start working hard and being recognized for your work. Again, it will pay you dividends down the road. Because to this day, I still have an attitude that, look, I may not know as much as everybody else, but no one's going to outwork me.
Yeah.
And so that's just been a mindset of mine that's again sustain me, because when people ask, well, man, you still up, you still online, you still doing whatever. It's like, look, I got to get this done. You know what I mean? So I never let that. But that's something that started almost 40 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I still employ. But let's you want me to just start to share the
Yeah,
website?
let's get into it, man. Let's get into it,
Okay.
man. I'm excited, man. So I'll use you as a client, right? You coming in, I don't know, off the streets, wherever you had you want to look for employment,
Mm,
okay, a career in a sense, okay. So there's a series of questions that I would ask you, right?
mm,
One, what would be your interest if you had your dream job today? What would it be?
mm,
So then they would answer, boom, boom, and then I would ask them questions about, computers. Do they understand keyboard, mouse, how to actually use a bar, how to, scroll through, how to connect links, and scroll through links. And most people, depending on their previous history, some have some understanding. Okay, so now then asking them what job would they like to do, then depending on area, because you can also, even with the BLS, what I love about it, you can break it all the way down to zip code, where someone actually lives, the type of what a particular job would pay. So let's just say I really don't have any skills. I need to work at Walmart or Amazon. Or what is it? What's the FedEx? I need a job. That's pretty much a warehouse job. So let's just start with that. I'm 18, fresh out of high school, really no job skills. So I would actually ask them what job. You say, okay, I want to be a warehouse worker. So we would actually use this to sort of just type in warehouse workers, and you can actually use it. I think at the top right in the search.
So search. So just type in workout.
Yeah, a warehouse worker. Yeah, warehouse work, and then you'll see several other little links to sort of just choose one. Like you can just choose it. Yeah, you can just choose the first one.
See if I can blow this up a little bit. Or if David, you can take us down a little bit if to
Yeah,
make the to make
screen a
this a
little
little
bit.
bit bigger because I'm still looking for it. I'm on a page. I'm not seeing it refresh yet, so I'm hoping that
I,
let me unshare and then share it
okay.
again.
You might have to adjust the zoom in, like go to the browser and want to increase the font. If it's on Chrome, there's a way you can do it where you can bring it from another website.
I'm sorry, David, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're breaking up there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now
Can you
we
hear
can.
me now?
Yep.
Sorry about that. What you want to do is go to the Chrome. If you're using Chrome or whatever, but it should be a feature will allow you to increase the font size.
Yeah, I'm on
There you
I'm on Zoom. I'm up to 175%, and like I said, I'm on the
yeah.
page I want to be on. So if you just share
Just
the
make
link
us
again,
smaller. Yeah, just make us smaller.
yeah, yep,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
that's fine. Yep,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
okay, not a problem.
Okay, so here you can see in warehousing and storage, there's
Yes.
information in terms of earnings and hours,
Yes.
um, workforce statistics. So there's a few places you can go here. So where am I going from here?
We can just start and go down the list of where you see the highlighted areas, warehouse statistics, right?
Hmm.
So I guess this is just employment, people who may have gotten employed. Again, there's going to be adjustments with the end of the seasons. You see the seasonally work, so the
Right.
numbers may decrease as far as employment and increase with unemployment. Again, you see again. Let me see. This is an area employment? Okay, so you're looking at about 1,000. So you're looking at it's not just 100 and 1,877. You're looking at about hundreds of thousands of
Hmm.
jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's pretty speaks for itself as far as the available jobs and people actually working.
Hmm.
So go. You can scroll down a little bit, and here you can see how many people who may have been employed over the course of 2024. They don't get the exact numbers for 2025 until 2026. So it may be a little better or a little worse, just depending on, again, availability of people applying. You have college students that apply for these jobs. You have low
Right.
income people, individuals who apply for the job. So it just depends. And supply and demand. One thing about warehouses, a lot of supply and demand. So just supply is high, it's going to be a demand for employment. If supply is low, there will be a decrease of employment. Warehouses and factories can't keep up. And I'm not quite sure how it's going to be next year with the tariffs and everything taking effect this year.
Right.
We may see those numbers for sure next year. So you can just click on industrial truck and tractors. And as you scroll down, so again, it breaks it even down farther as far as the percentages of individuals working those jobs and
Hmm.
down from the most important to the not saying the least important, but as the numbers decrease,
Right.
there's less uh yeah, people working those jobs.
Right.
We want to look at the earnings now. I think it was on back. Just click back. Yeah, go use the back button. Earnings and hours right there.
Hmm.
So the
Oh wow,
average,
that's nice.
yeah. So the average earnings, of course, it goes back to April. I guess I believe they sort of use the quarterly numbers for that. So on average, factory workers, someone like that, should be making $25 an hour on average.
Right. Which is
And
average income. That's what's around 50, 25 an hour on average. Coach, you there? Can you hear me? Uh-oh, I think we lost. I think Coach froze up a little bit, so we'll just wait for him to come back. But again, $25 an hour. If you do 25 an hour times eight, it's 200, and then times 50. Let's say I give you 50 weeks, and 25 times eight times five is $1,000 a week, and then 50 weeks. That's 50. That's 50K. So again, average. That's average money. I mean, in the U.S. Which again, it may not. I think that's a good starting point, especially if you're a young person, especially if you are just coming out of school. You can certainly, that's a good place to start at 50K. Like I said, so you don't have to work, minimum wage job necessarily. If you certainly can, find something in this sector and to get yourself started. Plus, you're going to get some benefits. You're going to get some things just to, get things started. So, Coach, you back? You good?
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just hearing what you were saying, yeah, it's spot on. Just as far as the hours working um, a full week of hours, you get about, depending on if you're taking lunch breaks, about 37.5. You may be able to get some overtime. So overtime, I think the average per hour increases depending on your shift. I
Right.
know
And
they
some
have
places
shift.
play time and a half. So
Yes,
again, depending on how much overtime you get. So,
yes.
you
What's
got
up,
you got
David?
something, Dave?
I'll make a correction. It'll be 25.53 per hour. That'll be like 1,021 per week, about 4,425 per month, and annual salary about $53,102. Just to let
About
you
It's close enough,
53,000.
David. I
Yeah,
said
that's
50. I
50.
said
Yeah,
50. Man,
50.
got to be.
Right,
Man's gonna be like Spock and be like, quote me
right,
to the penny over here. I'm just
right.
saying, you're in the 50K club. That's
know.
average.
That's I have a wage cut.
That's
I've been using for
average
years.
income.
So
It's average.
Is the main takeaway. You're an average middle class income at 50K. And most, especially for African American men, we're like around 42, 43 on average. So again, just working one of these jobs, you're going to make more than the average income, middle class income in this category. But yeah, you don't have to be
Yes,
so technical, David. Yeah,
right. You took us
we
I
down
know.
3,000.
I send you a link. The link I use is like a wage calculator. Loving the calculator.
gotcha.
I get
Yeah,
a job offer.
You
I
put you
always
can put
check
that
that
put that in the general chat if you can.
yeah. Put that in the
We'll
general chat.
people
because
can.
I've been doing that for the past
Br-
couple of
br- br-
years, and
Brother Bennett,
it has helped me a
scroll
lot.
down some more. Scroll down. Let's go down
Yep.
some more if we can. And then you has the again. It just breaks it down. And then, again, the numbers may fluctuate depending on what part of the country you live in. The high earning factory workers may make about $25 an hour. However, the salaries, you get down to Mississippi, it may not be as much.
Hmm.
So again, we looked at industrial truck and tractor trailer operators, average about 50,000 a year. Transportation, storage, and distribution managers, they make pretty good money.
Yeah.
Becoming a manager, that's the thing. If you working at one of these warehouses 4 or 5 years, they have opportunities to become managers. Yes, it's a responsibility, but it's a responsibility worth having. If you can take your income from 45, 50,000 and bump it up to maybe 90,000, almost 100,000, it could be life changing, but it
Absolutely.
comes with a responsibility. And those are the conversations I used to have with individuals, because everybody wants to make money. However, when you start breaking it down on the averages of the income, and those incomes sometimes require some form of special certification. certificate of training, degrees, things like that. So that's one thing I try to get people to understand. Yes, I want to make $100,000 in doing this. However, most of companies require some type of education beyond high school. So
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So again, so you're getting here again just with a simple search on the website, on the BLS
mhm,
website. Areas of interest. You're gonna get some statistics. How much are you on average you'll be making in that industry? We also hear, I don't know, there was like a blip in 28, but again, number of fatalities,
mhm,
23 and 28 in 2023. That's rare.
mhm,
In that kind of work, but again, relative speaking to
yes,
the number of people in it,
and
it's not I wouldn't consider it a high risk job,
yes, high
regardless of the
risk.
numbers, and we don't know what those were related to. But
Now, now,
again,
Now, Brother Bennett, just in those with this particular trade and the numbers, there is some risk in driving. Of course, over the road, you driving at night, inclement weather, rain, sleet, snow sometimes. And sometimes you
yeah,
may go through one state, it's all sunny. You get to the next state or couple of hundred miles up the road, it's raining cats and dogs. So
right,
yes, and that's why they sort of been really strict on the number of hours a driver can drive a day.
right.
They sort of use trackers now. So since 2023, I don't we don't have those numbers, but I would love to see how those numbers may have increased or decreased just based on the newer technology that they're using. So
Right, right. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So all right. So you did some research. You see there's some potential
yes,
here. You see there's there could be a potential future here to kind of again. This is also considering again a lot of these jobs. I don't think they require a college degree, and these days I think you have to be a bit more intentional about if you are going to go to college, um, what you're going for, and are you looking at simply adding more debt to your life when you pursue that there, or can you land one of these jobs, kind of hit the ground running? Doesn't mean you can't get advanced education, especially with online courses and different programs or whatnot. But no one's saying you got to go a 4 year a 4 year degree for you to get into some of these jobs. So again, so you can certainly do your research here, but where would we go from here then if we want to start looking at, applying for some of these jobs? What would be the next step after you did research? So this looks good. So what would you recommend? Where does a person go from here?
so if you are interested in at least applying for a job within this industry, right? Most the old school way was you would actually sometime do the footwork or the lead work or drive, whatever way you had to get to the actual location. That's old school way to fill out the application. More than
Mhm.
likely, they would have been a paper application. Today, you can just research any particular company. Again, Amazon is really big with warehouse. Walmart, Target, a lot of these places that sell like goods, groceries, Kroger's. I guess particular area you live in, the major department stores, major grocery stores, you can just go to their websites and actually go through their list of possible. They listed under careers where you can work with that company and just begin filling out that application. And that's pretty the simple part of it. By searching the BLS before allows you to see what your particular salary will be. Brother David gave a great example. Well, he corrected the example Brother Bennett gave. So you can average if you do your math, you can look at the average to be about 50, between 50 and 53,000 or less, maybe give or take, 2 to 5,000, just depending on your math. But you should have an idea of what those salaries pay before
Yeah.
you apply to that company site. Most companies today, outside of Indeed, a lot of companies put those jobs on Indeed, but then uh, there's an application within the company that you have to fill out. That way, you'll get a direct hit from somebody, maybe through HR, a lot faster than going
Mhm.
through Indeed. Indeed, someone has to check it, but going directly through the company site, I recommend that. I even do that myself because
Mhm.
now it would put eyes on your application from someone at the company to say, hey, this person actually looked us up, so let me look at his resume or her resume with a little bit more intention to
Mhm.
see how they their I guess their skill set aligns with our company. So
Right. So just to be clear, like, so again, I know we got LinkedIn, Indeed,
yes,
Career Builder and whatnot. You would still recommend, and I know last time I looked aggressively for work, I did everything above, right?
yes,
I had profiles on all those sites, but I also took the liberty of applying directly on sites
yes,
because I know those websites, they allow you to apply for a job through the site, but
hmm,
sometimes going directly to the website of the company and putting it in directly, I found that I had a lot more success as far as getting direct hits either from an HR person rather than things just coming in through another
yes,
platform. And again,
yes,
it shows some initiative again because if you do go to the actual website, again, you may get some information there on the website about the company that you may not get through one of the social networking sites.
yes,
So certainly that is something that you should consider doing. If you can apply direct, then by all means do that. Some of the companies on LinkedIn or whatnot, they have direct links to the company website to apply. But I know there have been jobs where you do the application in within that website, and then you hope that it kind of filters down to the right persons in that. It really depends on the company and how often they would use or leverage on a career networking site versus going there direct. So I certainly I would co-sign on with Coach on that one. That if you can apply directly for it, then I think you'd be a lot better off.
yes. Brother Bennett, could we do another job search?
Yeah.
We're gonna do what is it? Physical trainer, something that you take pride in for yourself, just training yourself. And um, my son, he's big on working out and lifting weights, and I used to talk to him about becoming a physical trainer. Also, I was like, listen, you get to be in the gym, you can work out, make money, and of course, he elected to do something else, which I'm not mad at. But I'm like,
Mhm.
you get opportunity, like I said, because I ask people what is their interest with that dream job. You get an opportunity to do something that you like and get paid for it. So yeah, again, this is a great sheet. This is a great spot to be in right here, right? Because you're looking at the median income um, per year and per hour, and that is on the low end. You could obviously make more. The more you work, you can definitely make more. So this is something that you don't need a lot of education with. High school diploma is good enough. Equivalent, meaning a GED, will work for you. There
Mhm.
is some training with to become a physical trainer.
Yeah.
That's not very long, maybe 8 to I guess what is it, 90 days to maybe
Yeah, it's
4 months.
it's really about, well, there's a couple ways. It depends on how you want to do it, but you can certainly a lot of trainers go for certification bodies. So there's like NASM and different certification bodies that are recognized by potential employers of personal trainers. So again, how you start out as a personal trainer, a lot of people start out working at a gym, but again, that gym just, if that gym hires trainers to train others, then more times than not, they're going to want you to have at least at minimum some sort of training certification body. So I know NASM is pretty big in terms of wide acceptance of that certification across the board, and most like your LA Fitness, your Planet Fitness, those type of places more niche places, they may want a particular um, 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 certification that they may want you to go for, and sometimes they'll even pay for you to do it. Usually it could be as low as maybe a couple $100 to maybe up to about $1,000 to get that certification. But then once you're there, then you can use it in two ways. Either you're going to use it at again, at a place of employment where they're going to hire you, and that's going to be part of your profile, where they like to say, look, all of our trainers are certified in in this particular discipline or certification body. And so, also for insurance purposes, it lowers their liability, because you hope that the guy who got certified it knows at least at minimum the basics in terms of what they're doing. And so, so you use it there. Or if you decide to branch out on your own, you can advertise that. You can say that, hey, I am a certified ACE is another certification body that again has wide acceptance in the mainstream. Now, again, there's other types of bodies that are out there that do certifications, maybe not as well known. So again, finding out from if there's a particular gym, finding out what they accept. Some take multiple. They take ACE, NASM, a few different companies that would be or certifications that would be accepted. So once you have that, now again, if you want to branch out on your own, you can use that in your own advertising to say that I am an ACE certified trainer in this. And then also with those bodies as well, they also give certifications in particular disciplines. So I know my wife, for example, she was a spin instructor for years. And so I think she went through NASM to get her certification, but it was specifically for aerobics. And back in the day, they had those aerobic classes and whatnot. It was specifically for that, to teach aerobic classes. There's another one for spin. There's another one for strength training. So again, deciding also what you want to specialize in. Because I think on the website here, they're going to be very general. They're not going to get into necessarily specifics about, what type that you want to do. But that's the question to
Yeah.
ask yourself. Do you want to get into strength training? Do you want to do more aerobic or spin? So what even in that discipline, what do you want to take on?
Yeah. Brother Ben, could you scroll down a little bit more?
Sure thing.
And see, again, just why I like this, and that's why I like to bring people's attention to it, because it also uh, gives you the requirements, the outlook, the state. Let's look at state and area data. That's unique, right? Because if you scroll down, let me see, keep going down. I'm trying to see it should be where you
Let me
on
check
the
here.
state.
Let me check this one
Yeah,
here.
because it usually breaks it down. Okay, what they got going on here?
Yeah, so they give you a little bit more. Let me blow
Okay.
this up a little bit, make it a little easier to read.
Yeah.
So I guess here, this is good because where jobs in that industry are
Yes.
mostly at. So again, California, again, but when you think of California, you think Gold's Gym, you think Venice Beach, right? Florida, it's so where all the pretty people are, New York and whatnot. So in these major states, most populous states, you're more than likely to find that. But you figure again, the sunny areas, the beach cultures and whatnot, it makes sense that you would find a lot of people who work in that industry there, because again, a lot of those people tend to take their appearance, their physical appearance, they tend to take that seriously. And so it's no surprise here that a lot of these sort of jobs are going to be in these areas. So again, if you were going to be one, I don't know if Iowa, you're going to find a lot of clientele there. But
Yes.
if you really want to make this a go, moving to an area that has not only a population but also a population that earns money, because you got to understand also, I mean, for a person to pay whatever it is, and again, different gyms have different setups. Sometimes they pay you a straight up salary, or they you charge a certain rate, and then the gym takes a certain amount of it, or you start working on your own. It's gonna make factor into how much you can make, but also you got to be mindful of what people are willing to pay. And so again, in these major metros, you have people who are more affluent who can afford to take on a regular personal trainer and pay the money. So we talked about that on the show, dealing with choosing a personal trainer, or how do you go about choosing a gym. Price and cost are considerations. So being in an area where incomes are relatively high is going to increase your chance of success of not only getting a trainer, or certainly picking up clientele, but sustaining that clientele over time. But again, if you're in an area where people don't make a lot of money, it's going to be hard for them to pay a substantial amount to hire a personal trainer.
We have someone in the chat, right? They asked us, well, they are looking to update their resume in LinkedIn to become a software developer, to find a position for
Well,
software developer internship. So we
yeah,
can look that up right now. We can go
okay,
right to that, because that will give you a great outlook on what it is required to become a software developer. I assume that you've already gotten the certification, maybe through DeVry. I also received my website design certificate through DeVry, compliments of the U.S. government and the VA. They actually paid for the program and paid me monthly to attend the program. So it was a
right.
great program. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, this gentleman, I know he's asking specifically about internships, and I know for the most part, a lot of internships typically come through some sort of educational arm, right? Because the whole idea is like, whether it be a college or like a technical school, like a DeVry or something like that, they want to put you, not only teach you in the classroom, but they will also want to help you get practical experience in a working environment. So a lot of internships I've always heard applied for in a school type
learning
setting.
institution, yes. And
Yeah. So
most internships you have to complete within a year or
right.
so. I believe a year or so, or
Well,
prior
typically
to
internships are
graduation.
typically over the summer. So like
Not
again.
necessarily, Brother Bennett, because
Mhm.
there can be, say, you have 4 semesters, you completed 3, and also your last semester could be just part of your internship. You'll get graded on how you actually perform at the site,
Right.
part of the internship. That's one thing about it. So, for more, I am community college. Yes. So you are in your final year of software development. So yes, you must find an internship. Sometime they have a list in your area that you go by. Yes, they did that. They paid for
But
that.
well,
And
yeah. What the thing, especially in the IT field, what I recommend is, even if you go to a community college, definitely you need to go to, I guess, whatever career guidance advisors at that community college, and
yeah,
see again what kind of connections they may have, or leads that they can get you into something. Some schools, it's part of the curriculum
yeah, it
to
should be
get you
brought
into
up.
it, depending on what you're studying. Some
Yeah,
others, I know, like me, you got to go after that. What I mean? That they're not going to necessarily hand it to you, but you need to show some initiative and go to, again, those people in, career development services at the university or whatever, and ask. Is that, look, I'm looking for an internship. Where should I look? Where should I apply? A lot of internships are also offered through, if the college has like a career day or festival where they bring in potential employers or recruiters. You need to find out when those are going on, so that you can again get yourself in front of some people to say, look, I would like this. And again, just because it's an internship, now some, I know my daughters, all 3 of them have had internships, and all of them were paid internships. Not all internships doesn't mean that you don't necessarily get a salary. They get a nice, especially compared to what they were making when they were, working in the fast food industry. some of those internships turn out to be pretty nice. Sometimes they pay you weekly. Sometimes you get a lump sum at the end of, like I said, for them, a lot of their internships was in the summer months before fall, and they would get a big stipend check at the end of it at the same time. So again, work through your school since you're still in school. That's the best place to try to find one, because again, a lot of the companies themselves, they're looking for people from those areas. I don't find too many people who find internships just off the rip, who are not affiliated or associated with some sort of academic a program or a pool of potential where
Yeah,
they're looking to recruit from.
yeah, and also with internships, it's very hard to work a full time job and have an internship. Most require you to commit and dedicate all your time to that internship. So yes, being someone in software design, definitely, I'm sure you can design a great web page. You might need to do some things together. Uh, but yeah, but you can see the as of 2024, you'll make a good amount of money once you complete that process and you take your test, your certification test. You can come out the gate making over $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
I asked one of my instructors one time when we were doing QSL, how much does he make? He works two or three part-time jobs, making
yeah,
about 75 per job.
yeah,
So again, you can definitely take advantage of being someone in software. It's a job that affords you to work on your own. Work at you can be on the go as long as you have access to strong internet. I don't see a lot of those guys in office. Some have two or three other jobs that they work, but you must make sure you have the technology capable of updating things on site, which is a good thing. But the income is there. The training, particularly once you start at a particular school, you usually have to complete that program for you can for qualify for your certificate. But yeah, so all you need is a bachelor's degree. It's going to be over 1 million jobs, almost 2 million jobs needed um, over the next few years. It's going to increase by year because technology now is really big. At one time, it was started out with if you could build a web page, that was big. Then it went to building apps. That's where they got me because I signed up to build apps. But then once they got it, you get in the program halfway through, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna discontinue this program." So if I was paying for it, I would have been on the hook for this program that I wasn't even signing up for. So yeah, it affords me to work at my own pace. I dibble and dabble to make sure you keep your skills up, but it teaches you everything about Adobe, InDesign, Photoshop, everything technology you can do. And I'm gonna say this after this: the unique thing I learned about a website, right, is that I have to go through my cable company to purchase my own host, and I can create a website and just add and delete, change pictures, and everything has to be within the folder. So if I was to create a project for any of you all would tell me what you want, send me your pictures, maybe certain words. It's big when people do it for obituaries, and you just design it accordingly, and you can just send it all over in a folder and everything is pretty much together. And when you run it through um, your program, your browser, you can see how that page will look before it goes live. And then when you run through your host that you pay for through your cable company, that runs about $15 a month, maybe 16, depending on the competition. And you can just run your own website and go in and change it on the go and update it. And there's so many unique formulas about software design that you create the formulas, and when you're creating formulas, you use almost every um, key on the keyboard, every little, at the top row where you use your alternates, you use a lot of those symbols when you're creating a web page.
Mhm.
So
All right, so we got David who's made an appearance again, so he's been itching to say something. So go ahead, sir. Since I know this is one of
I'm
your
just pop up
wheelhouse.
because at an IT professional where I've noted about the internship concerning software developer, software
speaking to the
engineer.
mic,
Yeah,
brother
Normally,
you're
David.
breaking up a bit.
Speak-
uh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Now we
speaking to
can.
the mic.
Okay. Here's the thing I will say this. In case of you don't find an internship program within the college, I would suggest to do reach about any middle corporates that nearby within your region, whereby you can apply for intern because they already have portals. Let's say middle corporation like Estelada or Google or many other. They may not have the program in your college, but they have portal would allow you to apply for internship for those type of profession. But I would suggest to check it every periodically, every 3 months to check it, do they have it open or not. When you do so, I would say apply for it first and see if we get in or
Mhm.
not. I know Google does it, Amazon does it, Microsoft is big on that as well because those main three they have with what do you call it? Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google that have their own thing. Google in Google Space, I think, or something else.
Mhm.
But they have people applying for that position.
Mhm.
Any other major corporation that doesn't work with your school directly, you want to check their portal first as well.
Mhm.
So don't just allow just be hoping to see if the school had a program, or not, but you want to do a little extra more research behind that. I'm going to let you know.
Gotcha.
That-
Let me put my 2 cents in here, given my long career in IT space. Um, the degree is nice, but what I've discovered over my career, most people that I've worked with in my career, 30 plus years in the game, did not have a computer science nor programming degree. Did not. I'd say maybe 40% of people may have had a degree in my field. People had English degrees, chemistry degrees, all kinds of things outside of business degrees and whatnot. Bottom line, people are going to go where the jobs are. The whole idea of college to begin with is, can you think? Can you learn? And for a lot of people, I was at the dawn when the web was birthed. I was there, and you had a lot of people who were just going up and reading books on C++ programming or Java programming or whatnot, and they taught
Python.
Python, and they taught themselves how to code. And at the time, companies, they were so just looking for people. Your degree really didn't matter. That was really where I thought, to myself, the value of a college degree started to diminish, because it used to be that was your career path. And if you want to go up in management or in your career, getting a master's was the thing to do. And I think a lot of us were thinking about that early on, getting our master's and up. But it wasn't required, because at the end of the day, what the employer wants to know is, can you do the job? Can you deliver on do you have the skill set? And so, so again, the important thing I think as a professional is, again, acquire the skills however you got to acquire 'em. And now with YouTube, I mean, back then we didn't have YouTube where you can learn that. I mean, there's online, people got whole online courses on YouTube where you can learn some of this stuff. Or again, if you want to pay for a certain certification or whatnot in cloud, cloud or data analytics or whatever, there's so many different available services that you can get there. And then last thing I would say is, I started out in QA. So again, you see here it says software developer, quality assurance analyst, or tester. I started out as a tester, because believe it or not, to do testing, they're not looking for very technical people, because a lot of the software that's being developed, it's got to be ready for the end user who is not technical. So I started out in testing. I eventually got into software development, which I didn't like. So I actually went back and I became a quality assurance analyst. So again, my testing became more robust where I started putting strategies together in terms of how to testing. I became a senior QA engineer in my career. And now I got in latter years, I got more on the technical side. Now I'm a senior systems analyst. So I'm saying all that to say that again, just where you start out isn't necessarily where you finish. Get in if you can get into a major company, starting out as a tester in the IT field and learning along the way. Because again, as a tester, you're going to be interacting with developers. You're going to kind of see how the software development life cycle and where you fit into that process. And from there, you can then grow your interest to say, oh, I think I want to go in this. I want to go in this particular area. So, certainly keep that in mind that it
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you start. Just get in the door and then work your opportunity from there. And don't just think, okay, if I'm not I got a degree in software development. If I don't get a degree, or if I don't get a job in that right away, then I'm a failure or it's no good. No, certainly you got a long story to write, and what you want is all that accumulated experience will help you be a better software developer because you've worked in all areas of the software development lifecycle. You know how the end user thinks, you know how the business users think, and you have the technical background to back it up to be a better deliver a product for those individuals. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Coach, you can chime in here.
No, man, listen, and this is the unique thing about it, right? Because what we're doing, this is not just specifically, as I was thinking, it's not specifically to a particular age. A lot of these skills, a lot of people, especially today, a lot of people spend time on computers and things like that. But there is resources out there for you to teach yourself how to work in these particular fields. People are actually doing um, online classes for free on YouTube. They'll sit down,
Mhm.
especially if you know someone. If you, ladies and gentlemen, if you got kids, I would say high school, and they like being in front of the computer and learning the ins and outs of the computer. Software development is a great start. Just coming to the BLS, letting them see the money they can make because people like looking at the potential money, but also the requirements to do that, what it would take, and just aligning them with the resources, whether it's someone someone at your job in IT, someone you believe you can trust to at least offer some guidelines, some assistance, and someone you love just picking out a career. Or if you're interested in yourself, align yourself with those individuals. They are not always in the front of the line. They usually prefer to be in the back. It is a job where you don't get a lot of shine, you don't get a
Mhm.
lot of recognition, but you do get a lot of responsibility. And if you take pride in your work and what you create, this will be a good start. So,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I mean, this is and again, it's interesting because this whole show tonight just reminds me of what we used to do when I was in middle school and early years of high school, where we would have classes on career and we would go through similar things. Now, again, this information wasn't online; this was in books, so they would come out with these big, thick books every year, and then I remember the teacher that I had, he would make us go through and we'd have to go and chart out and research these jobs. You just turn in pages and get into a section that, so at the time I always had a thing for, IT or tech or hardware, software, whatnot. So I always felt that I would be in that world. So I just started going there. And it's interesting at the time, I remember I think that the average salary back then, this is like in the early 80s, I think it was like $16,000 at the time, which was good money back then. What I mean? So it's just amazing how we're seeing these numbers now, whereas it's well over 100K getting started. But trust me, guys, when I tell you that again, people come from so many different backgrounds and wind up in these jobs, and people are always going to go where the jobs are. So don't just think, oh, because I got a computer science degree that somebody, who doesn't have the degree, they're going to have an advantage. You still have to basically be able to deliver one way or another. So just always keep that in mind, and always be learning. Is another one, because one of the reasons why I went back. So again, I started out as a tester. I got into software development, and then I went back to testing to become a QA analyst. The main reason I did that was because, especially at that time, the technology was changing. Yeah.
Mr. Bennett, could you, I guess, if it's here, or just break down what a quality assurance analyst is and
So
what are some of
basically,
those?
so if you look at like a software development life cycle, it basically starts out with concept and design. What is the business need, and what do the what does the client want? Then you have to take that and get that into a technical space where the developers can develop the code, and then it goes into a QA or testing phase, where we got to make sure, does it line up with what the original concept of it was. So a tester is just going to basically say, is going to take a script and say, click here, move here, add this to cart, check out. Does any bugs come up, any errors? If it is, reported. Oh, we got an error when doing this. Again, you're taking the role just as you're following instructions. A quality assurance analyst is basically going to be the one who's going to be giving out those instructions based on the documentation and the technical requirements that have been developed. And a QA analyst is also going to make sure that, again, in the software development cycle, that all steps are being followed. So again, from the initial meetings with business and the developers, to making sure that the developers know what needs to be coded, making sure that what they code is actually what they promised, and are the end users, are they getting the experience that we promised them? So a QA basically is sort of it's like the tester, but to a much higher level. You want the whole process. You're in the discussions early on. You're asking the questions: why do we need this? What need is this serving? You know, is this the best way to go about it? So again, you're making sure that the whole software development life cycle, from the concept stage to the actual delivery to the customers, that we should be involved on every process. Whereas a tester, he could be on the near the sort of the back end, just clicking and pointing and doing specific tasks, but they don't necessarily need to be involved in this whole life cycle. So again, it's a graduation from a tester to saying you want to have an understanding of how the business works conceptually, and also be a bridge between the business and the technical people, because sometimes they can talk past each other. And so you, as the QA person or even systems analyst that also fits under that as well, you have to make sure that, again, what's being communicated isn't getting lost in translation at each phase of that development. So it's definitely it's much more involved over time.
I mean, great, man, great. See, so ladies and gentlemen, there's great occupations out there that you can tap into. So again, with the BLS, it's pretty much going to be repetitive, just based off your job that you choose. But this is a good start for anyone who's interested in a career. I would like to see what, I don't know if they made it a category as of yet, but an entrepreneur's average salary, if they would make it a specific category, because that could be vague. I would like to see what the average um, earnings for someone who's self-employed.
Mm.
You
Well,
know,
there's certainly a couple of things here: entrepreneurship in the U.S.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's a
it kind of send you some trends in terms of um, where it's been trending.
yeah, because that could also be sort of what Quiet King had, getting into being a software developer, working under your own brand, your own name.
Mhm.
Um, I think Katia said she was a physical trainer. So
Yeah.
just being able to, and I think those salaries could fluctuate depending on what that career is.
Right.
But yeah, I've always just had to inform people, I want to work for myself. Well,
Right.
there's certain things, certain, I guess, skill set you must acquire, and it
Right. Right. Now, personal training, I would say that's probably one of the easiest um, um, fields, I guess, to get it if you want to become self-employed at some point. Not necessarily an entrepreneur. Now, again, entrepreneurship, I think, for a lot of people, and I heard this recently. I think a lot of people get entrepreneurship and sole proprietorship confused.
yes,
Like 80% of people who they said they're self-employed or entrepreneurs, it's a one-person show. So
yes,
again, if you're a personal trainer, it's a one-person show. If you're a hairdresser, you got your own beauty thing going on, that's a one-person show. When you talk about entrepreneurs, these are people who actually start not just businesses, but start companies that oftentimes employ other people. So, but for most people, like I said, 80% plus, they're all going to be sole proprietorships, and which is fine. But if you want to do that, that's difficult oftentimes to start out the gate. I'm not going to trying to dissuade people, but I think having a job early on, at least so you get access to information, skills, and then if you want to start your thing on the side until you get it to a point where you can transition out of that job space into a self-employment entrepreneurial space, then you do that at the appropriate time. But a lot of people, they say they want to say they're bosses, but bosses have employees. So again, it's funny to me when you hear people saying, I'm a boss babe. You know what I mean? And they don't have. I mean, who are you bossing? You know what I mean? So I think that's an important distinction. That it sounds great and everything, but make sure that you are truly in a position where you can you know uh, again hire and really expand beyond just your own efforts. If you can turn your side hustle into a real business, then absolutely go ahead and do so. But for so many people, they think that just starting something up, okay, now I own a business. So I think that's something that people, I think, have to just be very careful with. Like even myself, I don't consider myself a business. I say I do a personal trainer, but do I have a business? I'm not saying I'm an entrepreneur. Now, again, in my retirement life, if I, when my career door closes and I want to open up, get some rental space and really start, this thing in earnest. Yeah, I may at that time decide to call myself that, but I don't go around calling myself an entrepreneur when what's required for that is a lot greater than what a lot of people think. And just because even if you get a business card with your name on to say I'm an entrepreneur, that doesn't make you an entrepreneur. So again, that's not to dissuade people from that, but again, I think a lot of people have to be realistic about um, what it truly takes to do that. And for a lot of people, it's like because I got an IG profile with a couple 100,000 subscribers, you're an entrepreneur. All you're doing is kind of showing your body off. But again, I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that entrepreneurship is a lot more involved, and you need to, and certainly hopefully with this site, you can get some information on again what it takes to get into that space as an entrepreneur, what the true statistics are on entrepreneurship, and
see,
these are things that you have to to manage. So again, you got in firms with 1 to 249 employees versus those that had 250 or more. I mean, once you start playing in this category, then now you're balling. But again, 80% of most entrepreneurships are sole proprietorships, and that's something that you got to be you got to be mindful of. But yeah, I mean, but again, get into a place where you get the skill sets. I can't stand it, especially if you're in a tech space or whatever, or you're going to have access to equipment and information and training that you're not going to be able to get on your own, or it's going to cost you a lot more to get on your own. if you're with a company that's willing to invest in you to develop you to be that person, and then at the appropriate time you want to go and leave and do something else, then by all means do so. So, Coach, I don't know how you feel about that, um, but I know a lot, especially with a lot of young people, especially every person you turn around and they're an entrepreneur in something, and I'm not sure if that's the most appropriate um, approach to things. And say, well, I don't need a job. I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to be my own entrepreneur. I think you got to tell. There's something to be said for walking before you walk. But what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I just you look at YouTube as an example, right? Everybody on YouTube, well, not everybody, but I've seen several people explain that YouTube is their job.
Mm-hmm.
They are working for themselves through YouTube. So again, like you said, you're not a boss if you just you by yourself. You're a sole proprietor.
Yeah.
If you can grow, I would say you're doing pretty good as a business if you have at least 10 employees and you're able to meet salary and also meet growth expectations, quarterly, yearly, whatever it is, and
Right.
have some form of dividend at the end of it. When you start getting into the 250 employees and more, 500, maybe a couple of thousand, the stock market will start looking at you. They'll probably put some eyes on you just in case you continue to grow. But
Right.
yeah, that's why I say that's what I love about this whole website. Once I was introduced to it, I sort of just followed it and used it as a catalyst for anyone looking to go into a particular field. And again, that's why I brought up entrepreneur, because a lot of people are looking to be entrepreneurs, whatever they say. But
Mm.
I think it's important to just know what those numbers look like going into it so you can make the best and the most sound decision to, secure your future. Because
Right.
being an entrepreneur, all of that work falls on you.
Yeah.
All of those emails being sent, all of those documents being prepared, orders being filled or whatever,
Yeah.
that
You got
falls
to do
on
everything.
you.
You
So,
got to be the accountant. You got to be the stock person. We looked at the warehousing jobs. You got to do the warehousing. You got to pick, pack, and ship boxes.
mhm.
You got to be on top of everything. And that's difficult to do, especially when you're one person. We all know about the mom and pop stores and whatnot, and certainly those can be in themselves, I guess, worthwhile. But it takes a lot of work, and you're gonna forget working 9 to 5. If you're gonna be an entrepreneur, like for real, you're talking about doubling that time. 16-hour days. Forget 8. So those are just things to keep in mind. Again, like I said, I would never dissuade anybody from that. But again, you talk about YouTube, Coach. That was the thing coming out, especially during the pandemic. Everybody's on lockdown. Everyone was going to be a YouTube millionaire,
Yep.
and people coming out saying, you can make this much money through YouTube and whatnot until they change the algorithm. So that, again, YouTube, they found a way, because again, people were taking advantage of the situation. They were talking about, look at all the
Hmm.
money that I'm making. But then all the YouTube's got to do is just change the algorithm a little bit, and the monthly checks go down dramatically. So again, it's not an easy task to engineer in this space. But I remember the talk 2021, 22. Oh, I'm going all in. I'm gonna make this thing work.
Hmm.
So yeah, you just gotta be mindful of that as well. But yeah, I think this has been certainly very useful. Again, doing your research, knowing what you want, or have an idea of what you want to do, using the site like the BLS.gov site to get information on potential career path. Is this something to go in? Especially now when you talk about AI, you have to be mindful of what jobs could be compromised in the future. We all know, like in the retail sector, that's being dramatically affected by AI. You got your self checkout machines and things of that nature. So those are things that you may want to rethink if you were thinking about going that direction. And again, look at the jobs that are on an upward trajectory, and that there's a demand for. But when I went to the medical school, the biggest demand in this country is still for physicians. We don't have enough physicians that is required, for in this country. We're not producing as many, which is why you see so many physicians coming in from other countries. But as far as what America produces, we're not producing enough. In the school that my daughter's going to, they're one of the leading producers of doctors in the U.S. So again, it's no, that just made me feel good to know that my daughter is pursuing a career path that AI is not going to replace. So even, I mean, they may be able to look at an X-ray or something like that, but as far as care, the humanism that goes with that, in terms of caring for putting patients first and whatnot, that is something that's in very high demand, and America does not have enough. And so, so again, you want to, in your searching for career, you want to look for those opportunities. What are the growth sectors in this country? And don't necessarily think about. I mean, when me and Coach were coming up, we were taught to go to college and get a degree, and your life will be set. But even today, we're looking at that with a lot more nuance. Again, what you go to college for matters. It's a cost of the cost over investment ratio that you have to look at. And doing research like this is really going to make a difference to say, do I need college or not? If I am going to go to college, what am I going to study? And then how can I turn that around and make that work for myself? So yeah. If I had I think we're sort of wind down. Is there another section you want to look at, Coach, or we can get ready to land this plane?
Not really, but I want you to go back to the summary portion of the careers that we were looking at. I think that's a good starting point for anybody who may have someone who's looking for a career and they're not sure if you can just for anybody, y'all know, a family member, friend, just take them to the BLS site, labor and Bureau of Statistics. Yes, what is it? Bureau of
Bureau of
Labor and
Labor and
Statistics.
Statistics,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bureau. I said it back. I always used to say that backwards all the time too. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, right? Just take them to their site. They're going to give you a job that they like. Type it in at the search box. There are going to be several little possible readings that you can click on. Usually click on the first one. And then as we showed in the previous slides, the summary of the job outlook. And you can go through several tiles, but there's also a section where you can see how much someone would make performing that particular job in their area that they live. Or if they're looking to move, you know how much they make. If you have a job in one area and you want to do that similar job in another area, you'll see the price, the salary increases, but also you have to think about the inflation in that particular area. But I do want to compare this to military, right? So if you want to be a warehouse worker, pretty much in civilian life, there's a set salary of what was it? What were we looking at? About 50,000, mid 40s.
Yeah, especially in the warehousing phase states, like mid 40s to about 50.
So if I was going to translate that to military, I would be in supply. So in supply, as you get trained to do supply, it teaches you everything from top to bottom: logistics, ordering, orders, locations is going to, how to categorize all of that.
Right.
And the pay may not be as much while you in the service, but again, those other benefits afford you, it sort of pays itself off. If you're living in the barracks, you don't pay rent, so you're saving hundreds of dollars there a month. But also, once I come out of the military with those 3 years of training in supply, I can pick 9 times out of 10, I can pick any major company warehouse in the United States or even outside of America and go work there. And typically you will get hired because with military experience, most companies they put you on a hiring preference list and you go to the front of the line because they understand that you have the skills and you've been working that particular job at a high level. So again, and they get a benefit for hiring veterans or someone, and that's just on the low end.
Right.
But any job that you do in the military, that's why I always used to recommend people take jobs in the military that can translate and into civilian life. And the salary is pretty good once you get out, and you, they understand your work ethic. It won't take a lot of training, and you can typically demand top dollar in
Right.
that field with that experience. So
Right. Now, Coach, talk about, are there opportunities for non-military personnel in the military? Do you have to be enlist to get a job? Let's say if there's a base near where you live, at
mm,
least I know you say you go to bases pretty often. If I want to
mm,
just there's a job for a cook or a chef or somebody like you said in supply side or warehousing or whatever, is are there opportunities there that I could just apply as a civilian to a job within the U.S. military?
yes, again, if I want to work specifically with the government side, there's a component that you go through. I think it's uh, vajobs.gov or something, jobs.gov. I think that's it.
Hmm.
And they have a list of occupations that you can apply to, but it'll also dictate who can apply for those jobs.
Right.
Anything that says civilian, military, reserve, they all can apply for those jobs.
Right. So I would
But they,
also think that, like, if you're like a scientist, because I know there's well, you have military contractors, right? But then
yes,
there's jobs where you need, scientists, engineers, people with those kind of backgrounds to develop, whether it be
yes,
weapons or something. So I would
but
think that those type of people wouldn't necessarily have to be enlisted in order to get,
no,
right.
but that's and again, depending on the military size. When I was stationed in Fort Polk, it was pretty much self sufficient. Any construction things, sites that had to be completed, my
Right.
unit, we went out, created the foundation, built it up.
Yeah.
Uh, we There are restaurants, like like the commissary PX. A lot of wives and children of soldiers work in those spaces. Not
Hmm.
particularly the soldiers. Uh, like there's a golf course on several military bases. You can be a husband or wife working at the golf course. Again, some of the I've seen civilian contractors, and it's just a construction company. They took a bid
Right.
uh, and built. So not everybody has to be in the military. I worked in housing. All of those individuals were just civilians, no military experience,
Right.
and we went in and inspected homes and prepared them for the next family to come in. Our soldier, because we assign soldiers to their barracks and family members to their housing. So yeah, it would just be normal people who apply. As long as you meet the qualifications, a lot of times you have to have some form of qualification. I'll say this and I shut up. In 2018, I worked for the Department of Interior for the national parks.
Hmm.
And by me living in Pullman National Monument and have property on the National Monument, I was able to get a job working there.
Hmm.
About in my last, once I came out of school. So that was one of my last jobs that I worked. Not the last, but like the second to last. Working
Right.
for the National Park System in my own neighborhood. And I used to give tours from people all around the world. Japan, China, everywhere you would think people wouldn't come from, they were coming from. And they would come there, and I would give them a tour around my neighborhood and talk about the homes and how the whole compound was set up. So if you ever go to Chicago, South Side of Chicago, Pullman National Monuments on 115th in Cottage Grove, you're going to get a great staff, a great tour. If you see anybody, her name is Grace. Tell her a bald-headed, light-skinned guy sent you. She going to tell you who I am. And she's really good. She's going to give you the best tour you can ever imagine. Great site, man. I love working there. Had a chance to always engage with the community.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I still got property there. I'll be going there in a couple of weeks. And we're going to turn it into an Airbnb. We have a tenant, but we're going to turn it into an Airbnb, try that for about a year. So if you want to come stay in Southside Chicago, 500 feet from the Metro train, which is a federally run train, 60 feet from the bus stop, the CTA, it'll take you right downtown, get off at Millennium Park, have a great time, come back, you there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. All right. Well, let's land this plane. Hopefully we hope this introduction to again finding a career path, finding a job path has been useful. There's resources out there that you can use. Do your research, find an area of interest, and just start pursuing. So next week we're going to go more into preparing resumes and cover letters for jobs, and so we're going to explore that vein. But certainly appreciate you guys being here tonight. Make sure you hit the like button as you leave tonight, and just stay tuned on the certainly on the Sparta HQ Network for upcoming programming. Hangout show on Saturday, Gray Area on Sunday. We got a special interview coming up, so just stay tuned for all that information. But certainly for myself, Mr. Bennett, and the coach, two bald opinions, just giving our ideas on how to move in this world. Still, we still think there's some valuable information out there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So until we see you guys again, take care. God bless, and we will see you next time. Good night.